Do you ever see pictures of a certain watch and think, nah, that's not for me, that's not really my style? But then you go and try it on, you see it in real life, and it changes your mind? Yeah, that's what happened with me and this watch. So this is the Tudor black base ceramic made in collaboration with VCARB Formula 1. This is in the Tudor Daring collection, so it's pretty experimental, pretty different, and it's one of the watches that made me think Tudor is gunning for the Omega market share. If you're new here, my name is Brittany, and on this channel we just talk all things watches. This channel has really become the place where I've been over-communicating and overthinking my watch collecting journey. Before we get into it, I need to clarify that this isn't my watch. I wish the Tudor boutique would allocate me cool things like this, but it's my husband's watch. He's had it for a few months now, so it's not in perfect condition anymore. He wears it a lot.
How often would you say you wear this watch?
All the time at the moment.
It's been a very loved watch since it's entered the fold. Let's talk specifications first, because I think this is the biggest factor in Tudor kinda quietly coming for Omega. So this has a case diameter of 41mm in black ceramic, a lug-to-lug of 50mm, and a thickness of 14.4mm. On the wrist, it is actually delightful to wear. So here it is on my 5.5-inch wrist and my husband's 7-inch wrist. As per, it's too large on me. It's oversized. I think it's too big, but it's exactly right on him. The right amount of strap showing exactly how a dive watch should wear. One of the dimensions that really stood out to me first was the thickness. 14.4mm sounds pretty beefy, but with a dive watch, sometimes it wears differently than you think, because this number is including the bezel. This specific measurement can sound larger than it actually feels. I wouldn't say it is slab-sided or overly thick feeling. Keeping on with the specifications, this has 200 meters of water resistance and powered by the Tudor manufacturer caliber MT5602-1U, which is METAS certified, meaning the tolerance is between 0 and +5 seconds per day, and 70 hours of power reserve. Evaluating Tudor and their investment into their movements and METAS certification is the biggest factor that makes me think they are coming for Omega. The one big thing that sets Omega apart is their movement technology, most notably the wide-scale adoption of coaxial and METAS certification being standard. If you're a bit newer to watches, METAS is a third-party testing process with quite strict regulations, going one step further than COSC or COSC. The fact that Tudor is offering METAS certification for less money than an Omega shows that they are trying to eat up some of the reasons why someone might choose an Omega Seamaster over a Submariner. Tudor now asks, well, forget those two, why not a Black Bay? There are more size options than the Seamaster. It's still an iconic design, with no helium escape valve this time, and on top of that, our movements have passed the same certification. Like, there is no reason to choose an Omega over a Tudor beyond, I think the Omega is prettier and I like it more. Which I controversially think is a perfectly valid reason to buy a watch. It's your money, you can spend it how you want. That's a perfectly valid reason to love a watch. In fact, I've made some horrible value for money purchases on that basis. One of the things I love about Tudor is that the tech keeps getting better and better. Like, the primary functionality remains the same, telling the time, but the tech improves so you're not up all night frustrated about it. Speaking of which, there are so many things in my life that are preventing me from falling asleep and staying asleep. Like my husband, who's gorgeous and fabulous and I love him so much, but he snores like no other. And on top of that, we live in a pretty noisy city. But Oslo sleep buds are the reason I'm able to sleep through the night. They are my life hack to sleep. Oslo sleep buds are science-backed, little wearables that block out noise, distraction, and help you fall asleep and stay asleep. For me, it's always been falling asleep that's the problem. Once I'm sleeping, I'm down for the count, it's fine. But falling asleep is the trick, and before these, I really struggled. When I pop these in, I know it's gonna mask all those sounds that keep me awake. It's exactly what I needed. They've also just kind of become a part of my daily routine. Like, I brush my teeth, I try to solve a connections puzzle, I try my best, and then I pop in my Oslos. You can stream whatever you want through them. Some people go audiobooks. I personally use the masking sounds exclusively. Jade Static is my go-to. Crimson Cloak if it's the weekend and I'm feeling wild. Never Babbling Brook, though that is too wild. They are comfortable, easy to fit, side sleeper approved, and have genuinely helped me so much with my sleep. I regularly tell people to use these. They don't even have to sponsor me, but even better if they do. I love partnering with companies that I love and I personally use. Treat yourself to a good night's sleep. Check out Oslo, use the QR code that should be on the screen right now, or go click the link that is in my description. You will receive $10 off if you use my link, which is awesome. And thank you so much to Oslo for sponsoring this video. Okay, boring specifications out of the way, let's talk about the design now, because this is a very weird looking watch, and that's because it is a part of the Tudor Daring collection. If you're not as familiar with the Daring collection, Tudor describes it as a curated selection of exclusive watches designed to break conventions. If I was to sum it up, it is the experimental arm of the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation, where they take pre-existing Tudor models and push the design as far as it can go with irregular materials and bold dial colors. So this is technically a Tudor Black Bay, which usually looks like this. It's just made in the weirdest way you could possibly make a Black Bay. Like, if you look at these two next to each other, you wouldn't assume they're the same model, but they technically are. It's like taking the chassis of the Black Bay, but then making everything else in the weirdest way possible. Aesthetically speaking, I think this is pretty badass. This isn't meant to be a one and done kind of watch. This is for someone who really likes Tudor models, experimental materials and design, and truly wants something different. I know already that the comments will be full of people hating on this one. It isn't classical. It isn't meant to be liked by everyone. I will say, after seeing it in the ceramic, I like this a lot more in person than I did in pictures. It feels sporty and robust, and it looks like a technical instrument. So this has a ceramic case material rather than the usual stainless steel. It is brushed everywhere except for the high polished bevels, making it feel stealth. The bezel has a brushed sunburst effect and is fairly illegible. On the wrist is where this really shines, and it feels completely different than the regular Black Bay. The black ceramic case makes it feel smaller than the numbers would suggest, and it is surprisingly light. Not as light as titanium or carbon fiber. It still has a little bit of heft to it, but certainly a lot lighter than stainless steel. The darkness of the case is then met by a really unique shade of blue on the dial. It's hard to describe this color. I'll put up whatever video showcases it the best right now. It isn't too dark. It isn't too bright. It's pretty bold. It's a bold choice. I've said it once and I will say it again. Tudor knows how to do blue. They always select just the right shade, and this is no different. The dial layout remains very Black Bay, with a combination of circular and baton, applied indices, loom filled, and super legible with the snowflake hands. Reading the time is incredibly legible. Reading the bezel is almost impossible. But who among us actually uses the dive bezels to go diving? Who among us actually needs them? Although this wouldn't qualify as a dive watch under ISO specs, because the bezel isn't clearly visible in the dark and there's no luminous material on the bezel for low light conditions. I really need to get out more. If you're at a point where you know ISO conditions quite well and you've never been diving in your life, you just know it through watches. Yeah. So far in this video, I've been looking at this watch in a vacuum, just as it is, objectively as an item. But this wasn't created in isolation and without a reason. This was made in collaboration with VCARB Formula 1, and the blue dial matches their distinctive blue livery. Something I learned from Watches and Wonders this year is just how much watch brands are leaning into F1, with 3 booths particularly leaning into motor racing: Tag Heuer, IWC, and Tudor. And Tudor was actually one of my favorite stops. So they had an entire custom-made video game, a pit stop where you could change a wheel, and even a VCARB car was there, suspended on the second floor, so you could see the inner workings of the car from down below. Story for F1 people. So they originally had Yuki Tsunoda's car there, but this was also around the same time where Yuki was being transferred from VCARB over to Red Bull's primary team. So he was no longer with VCARB. It was the very same week of Watches and Wonders. So there was a whole kerfuffle of them having Yuki's VCARB car there, but he no longer drove for VCARB as of yesterday. At the time. Yeah, it was just a cool little thing. And we won't get into VCARB and Red Bull performance. But I really, really like this watch. I think it is a collaboration well done. You can clearly see both members of the collaboration represented. But as a fan of Tudor and Formula One, I don't like seeing Tudor so closely associated with VCARB. 1, I don't like Red Bull racing. And on top of that, it's hard to feel anything for VCARB. It feels like all of the toxic workplace of Red Bull racing without the glory. Hey guys, Editing Brittany here. So I've just edited out so much Formula One talk. Well, it was really just me talking about not liking Tudor, which is commonly associated or thought of as Rolex's B team, being so closely linked to VCARB, which is thought of as Red Bull Racing's B team. And then I thought, maybe no one cares about this. Probably no one cares about it. But if you do care about it and you want a whole video talking about it, let me know in the comments down below and I'll make it happen. If you're happy that I edited it out and you don't want me to talk about it, also let me know and I'll shut up about Formula One. Anyways, I'm waffling. I'm really curious. What do you guys think to this watch? Let me know in those comments down below. Do you love it? Do you hate it? I cannot wait to see what you have to say down there. And do you think Tudor is coming for Omega? Are they giving you something to think about over Omega? Once again, let me know. Thank you so much to your viewership. Thank you to Oslo for sponsoring this video. And thank you to the fabulous, gorgeous, wonderful Pope tier patrons whose names are on the screen right now. Hello, Pope tier patrons. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Names on the screen. Thank you so much for supporting my weird little channel. Thank you all tier patrons. I've said it once, I'll say it again. I'll never stop saying it. You keep the lights on here at Gringa HQ. You keep this channel going and financially viable for me. So thank you so, so much. I love making this content and I hope you guys keep enjoying it. I hope you keep enjoying watches forever. Even if you don't keep enjoying this channel, that's fine. But watches are fabulous. You're fabulous. And yeah, thank you so much.